Hello and welcome. Today we're bringing you some of the most miraculous cricketing moments you will ever see. Prepare yourself because this video will leave you amazed. We're starting off with what is considered one of the greatest test innings of all time. An innings that started with Ben Stokes getting smacked on the helmet by a brute of a bumper and ended with him creating history. We're talking, of course, about Stokes' heroics at Headingley during the 2019 Ashes. Having been bowled out for a mere 67 in the first innings, England set out to chase a total of 359, only to find themselves at 286 for 9. Stokes had been in there for a while, holding one end down. Accompanied by Jack Leach, he shifted gears and began whacking the Aussies all over the park. With the help of some near misses and audacious switch hits, he brought the required runs down to just 2. And then, with a flourish befitting of such a masterful innings, he belted Pat Cummins through the cover for 4, ending on an unbeaten 135 and winning the most unlikely of matches for his side. The kind of performance that will be remembered for a long, long time. Here we have a similar performance from Sri Lanka's Kusal Perera. During the 2019 Test Series against South Africa, the stocky left-hander took matters into his own hands to give his side a historic win over the Proteas. Chasing 304, the Sri Lankans were almost down and out at 226 for 9. Vishwa Fernando had just walked in as the last man, and there were still 78 runs left to win. In a dramatic turn of events, Perera, who was an 86 at the time, ended up scoring 67 out of those 78 runs, cutting, pulling and driving his way to a magnificent 153 not out. The last shot of the match not only brought up his 150, but also secured the win for his team. It was a Herculean effort against an intimidating bowling lineup. Such was the impact of this innings that Sri Lanka actually ended up winning the series, becoming the first Asian side to win a Test series in South Africa. Talk about a historic knock. This might be one of the most shocking conclusions to an ICC event final in recent times. The 2024 T20 World Cup final was South Africa's to lose, and they obliged in typical South African fashion. But what's miraculous here is how India managed to take the game away from them. The Proteas needed just 30 runs from 30 balls, a doable task considering they had 6 wickets in hand. But 2 quick strikes from Hardik Pandya and Jasprit Bumrah completely turned the tide. The runs dried up, the pressure mounted, and ultimately the South Africans were left with 16 runs to chase in the last over. But the drama wasn't over yet, as David Miller was caught on the boundary in superb fashion on the very first ball. By this time, the writing was already on the wall, and India went on to secure a memorable World Cup victory by 7 runs. A wonderful way to bounce back from the heartbreak of the 2023 ODI World Cup final. Now for a mind-boggling game from the 2025 IPL. This edition of the IPL was a high-scoring one, so when the Punjab Kings got bowled out for 111 against the Kolkata Knight Riders, no one really expected them to defend it, especially once the Knight Riders were cruising at 72 for 3 after 9 overs. But then came the mother of all twists, a mighty collapse triggered by Indian veteran Yuzvendra Chahal that left the Knight Riders at 79 for 8. Andre Russell provided some resistance, but he was soon castled by Marco Jansen, ending the Knight Riders' innings on 95. It was an astounding win, one that also set the record of the lowest ever total defended in the IPL. Across 18 seasons! How about that? The West Indies are no longer the dominant force they used to be back in the day, but they still surprise us from time to time. One of these surprises came against Australia at the Gabba. Shamar Joseph ran riot with a broken toe to demolish the Aussie lineup, castling batsman after batsman to help his side win by 9 runs. Having already lost the first test of the 2024 series against the Aussies, the Windies didn't do themselves any favours by setting a target of 216 in the second test. But Joseph was in no mood to lose, and his 7 wickets ensured that would be the case. His long list of victims included the likes of Travis Head, Cameron Green, Mitchell Marsh and Alex Carey. Basically the entirety of Australia's middle order. This monstrous performance was special for another reason as well. West Indies had just won their first test in Australia in almost 30 years. And at the impenetrable Gabba no less. Simply superb. Perhaps the one innings Stokes will be remembered the most for is his resilient 84 not out against New Zealand in the 2019 ODI World Cup final. An innings that was filled with drama, missed chances and controversial overthrows. Chasing 242, England had succumbed to 220 for 7 after 48.3 overs, despite a solid partnership between Jos Buttler and Stokes. With 22 left off 9, Stokes sent the ball into the air and would have been caught on the ropes if Bolt hadn't placed his foot on the boundary cushion. Then, with 15 in the last over, he first dispatched Bolt to the boundary for 6 and then accidentally slid his bat in the way of Guptill's throw, earning his side an additional 4 runs. The match ended in a draw and went to a super over where Stokes again contributed. Amazingly, the super over ended in a draw as well, but England won the match due to a higher boundary count. This really was one of the craziest finals we have ever seen. What we have here is possibly India's biggest heist in the land down under. The first test of the 2020-2021 Border Gavaskar Trophy saw India bowled out for a mere 36. To make matters worse, Virat Kohli was leaving after the first match, which meant India would be without their main run scorer. Led in his absence by Ajinkya Rahane, India bounced back in remarkable fashion. With the series level at 1-1, they chased down 329 on the last day of the final test, thanks to batting masterclasses from Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara and Rishabh Pant. Not only did India win the match by 3 wickets, they also ended up winning the series. This win meant the first loss for the Aussies at the Gabba in 32 years. From getting bowled out for 36 to ending Australia's dominance on home soil, this comeback was as spectacular as they come. It's public knowledge that Pakistan are an unpredictable team. So unpredictable that when they faced the hosting USA in the 2024 T20 World Cup, even their own fans didn't expect a guaranteed victory. Unfortunately, this lack of expectation wasn't completely unfounded, as Pakistan did in fact go on to lose against the USA. Now, the miracle here isn't Pakistan losing. It is more to do with an inexperienced side beating one of the strongest sides in world cricket, and that too in their first ever major tournament. First, the USA chased 160 runs, ending the match in a tie. Then, they set Pakistan a target of 19 in the super over, thanks to some atrocious bowling from Mohammad Amir. A Saurabh Netravalkar bowling masterclass was all that was needed to register a historic win for the hosts and get their campaign underway. Truly an upset for the ages. The 2016 T20 World Cup final is right up there in the list of craziest finals you'll ever see. The Windies required an improbable 19 runs off the last over. Carlos Brathwaite was on strike and Ben Stokes had the ball in hand. Whatever pressure Brathwaite might have been feeling suddenly disappeared as he threw the kitchen sink at the Englishman. 4 consecutive sixes followed, stunning fans around the world and breaking English hearts. By the time the third 6 had flown over the ropes, Stokes' spirit was shattered, and the Windies were on the verge of history. They ended up securing their second T20 World Cup trophy as Ian Bishop went wild in the comm box with his iconic line, "Carlos Brathwaite, remember the name." What we have here is the greatest ODI in cricket history. The 2006 ODI series between South Africa and Australia was level at 2-2 going into the 5th match. Batting first, the Aussies smashed a formidable 434 runs, the highest ever ODI total at the time. Everyone knew the Proteas would come out with guns blazing, but their response was expected to fizzle out. They were climbing a literal mountain of runs after all. But that's not what happened. A quick-fire 90 from Graham Smith set the tone, and a belligerent Herschel Gibbs laid the platform with a wonderful 175. Wickets continued to tumble, but some resistance from Johan van der Vaart and Mark Boucher was enough to see them over the line. The Proteas won on the second last ball of the match by 1 wicket, setting the record for highest ever ODI run chase in the process. The 1981 Ashes started off in the worst way for England. They were already down 1-0 heading into the third test, and in the first innings of this match they were bowled out for 174, allowing Australia to enforce the follow-on. They fared much better in their second attempt thanks to Ian Botham's 149 not out, but could only manage setting the Aussies a target of 130. What was supposed to be a relatively easy win for the visitors turned into a nightmare, as English pacer Bob Willis ran riot, bulldozing through the entire batting lineup to claim 8 wickets. And he did all of that while giving away just 43 runs. The Aussies were bundled out 111, and England went on to secure a memorable win by 18 runs. This miraculous recovery did wonders for England's confidence as well, as they went on to win the series 3-1. We're about to show you another one of South Africa's famous bottle jobs. Chasing 213 against Australia in the semi-final of the 1999 ODI World Cup, Proteas found themselves requiring 9 runs off the last over. They had just the 1 wicket in hand, but an in-form Lance Klusener was on strike. He pummeled Damien Fleming's first 2 balls for 4, drawing the scores level and sending the crowd wild. But as they so often do, they choked right at the last second. Alan Donald survived a run-out chance on the 3rd ball, only to get run out by Miles on the very next one. Crazy to think that South Africa were 48 for 0 at one point, and then 145 for 4. But some bowling magic from Shane Warne had derailed their run chase. Since Australia had a better net run rate than South Africa in the Super Sixes, they qualified to the final despite the match ending in a tie. This miracle win would be the start of Australia's long period of dominance, during which they won 3 consecutive World Cups. We have a similarly exciting finish from India's encounter with Bangladesh in the 2016 T20 World Cup. It was a must-win game for their hosts, who had set Bangladesh a below-par target of 147. They still managed to take it to the last over, with the opposition now needing 11 off the last 6 balls with 4 wickets in hand. Hardik Pandya conceded 9 of the first 3 deliveries. With 2 left off the last 3 balls, Pandya dismissed Mushfiqur Rahim and then Mahmudullah on consecutive balls. The last delivery was a stroke of genius from MS Dhoni and his bowler. The batsman was beat, and instead of taking a shy at the stumps, Dhoni chose to run in full steam and dislodge the bails with his hands. The move paid dividends as India went on to secure an unlikely victory by just the 1 run. It was heartbreak for the Bangladeshis, but a marvellous show of spirit from the Indians. Brilliant stuff. The 2023 ODI World Cup was a memorable one for Afghanistan and an absolutely torrid one for England. The former beat the likes of Pakistan and Sri Lanka and almost took Australia to the cleaners as well, until Glenn Maxwell's double hundred spoiled their plans. England, on the other hand, managed just 3 wins in their 9 matches. One of their 6 defeats came in the hands of the Afghans themselves. Having been set a target of 284 thanks to Rahmanullah Gurbaz's destructive 80, England completely faltered in the face of Afghanistan's spin department. Rashid Khan, Mujibur Rahman and Mohammad Nabi shared 8 wickets between themselves while conceding just 104 runs. This was the first time the Afghans had beaten the English in an ODI. What's even more amazing is the fact that England were the defending champions in this tournament. Talk about making a statement. And lastly, we have another Afghan miracle, this time from the 2024 T20 World Cup. Afghanistan had steadily been building a reputation as a challenging side over the last few years. They finished second in the group stages, beating the likes of New Zealand, Papua New Guinea and Uganda, and then ran over Australia in the Super 8s. They now needed to win against Bangladesh to make the semi-finals. They could only manage a total of 115, but this wasn't to be a problem as Naveen-ul Haq and Rashid Khan combined to take 8 wickets, dismantling the Bangladesh lineup in the process. They ended up winning the match by 8 runs, reaching the semi-finals of a major ICC event for the first time in their history. And while they wouldn't progress further than that, it was a reminder of what to expect from the Afghans from now on. Beating big sides wasn't just a miracle for them anymore, it was fast becoming a habit. And there you have it, folks, some of our most miraculous moments from the cricketing world. As always, be sure to like and subscribe for more crazy compilations from the gentleman's game.